explain sort of the process that somebody would go through to do something like this. I think you have like a 3-step process that somebody would typically follow.
For sure. Yeah. So the first step of the process is going to be pre-optimization. So I've mentioned this a couple times, but the most important thing about getting access to this type of credit is building a strong, optimized personal credit profile. So the first thing is always looking at that profile. And so we break that up into pre-optimization and optimization. So pre-optimization is to do the things before really building up the personal credit profile. So things like payment history, utilization, and the average age. So if someone has negative payment history, like late payments in the last couple of years, you want to start a credit repair service to get those things disputed and removed. If there's a collection, things like that, you want to get those things removed. But fortunately, we have very good laws that protect the consumers in the United States, where through good strategies, you can dispute those things and get them removed from your credit report. You can dispute any negative thing from your credit report, and it's pretty easy to actually just get it removed. So that can increase your score like over 100 points.
Yeah.
So the next is looking at your balances. So any personal credit card or revolving account that's over 30% should be paid down to that 30% level, ideally under 10, but 30% is a really good threshold. And then the third thing I mentioned is average age. So if you've been working on your credit for many years, maybe your average age is already over 5 years. But if it's under an average age of 2 years, it's very young, and that looks very untrustworthy. So you can add authorized users, increase your age. So those are the 3 things I would focus on in pre-optimization.
Yeah.
And then moving to optimization.
Let's stop on the pre-optimization just for a minute, though, because like when I talk about things like this, I see all the comments. I can already hear them being typed under this video right now. And, it's like, yeah, but that only works if you have good credit or things like that. But like, yes, so you can just get good credit.
You can get get good credit.
Yeah.
If someone has, like, if you have a collection on your credit report, we also have a credit repair service that can help with this, but you can dispute it, and the credit bureaus have very short timelines to prove certain things. And if they can't prove it through the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1970, then the bureaus have to remove it. So there's really no excuses here. You can remove the negatives.
Well, the excuse is you don't want to do the work.
That's the only excuse.
Right.
Yeah, this process works for everybody. If someone has messed up credit or doesn't have a business yet, the process might be a little bit longer. If there's balances to pay down that you just can't pay down yourself, it might be a little bit longer because you do need to get those balances to under 30%.
And I don't mean that. I don't want to be condescending when I say that, but kind of going back to Robert Kiyosaki's comment on Dave Ramsey, like he's right for most people, because most people don't want to take the time to learn how to utilize these types of resources. They don't want to take the time to make sure they have good credit. They don't want to take the time. They don't want to take the time to learn how to manage these things, figure out how I could borrow it at 0% and make 5 or 10%. But it's all there. It's all readily available. There's ways you can learn. There's services that can hire. And so I say that only more as a challenge to my audience, because my audience hopefully is not the victim mentality where it's like, oh, this will never work for me. But rather like, oh, I could see how I could make it work. And so we'll keep going. But step number 1 is make sure you have good credit. And I know that's where a lot of people get stuck. That's why it's step number 1. But you can just fix it. You can build it. And a true story for me was after 2008, I got smashed here in Southern California real estate, and I got wiped out. And I had to do multiple short sales. I had foreclosures on my credit. Wow. I didn't declare bankruptcy because I just wanted to work it out with all my creditors as best I could, so I didn't ruin those relationships. But needless to say, my credit was just completely torched. It would have been.
What was the lowest score? Do you remember?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. I don't even know.
Sorry to cut you off.
I stopped looking. You know what I mean? I just knew it wasn't going to be good. And I didn't. It probably would have been better if I did a bankruptcy just to clear it all off and start over. But I didn't, right? So then these things dragged on for years as I was working these processes out, right? And then I had PTSD, so I was like, I'm never going to use credit again. And so then I didn't even work to like rebuild it. And so, I got crushed. So if anybody thinks they have bad credit, you haven't seen bad credit yet. But I was able to rebuild it, right? It took some time,
Patience.
Some of the stuff had to pass, right? You have to allow the age of it to pass a little bit, right? I had to start establishing some entry level credit, and now I can go back and buy pretty much whatever I want today. But it was a process that I had to get there, and so anyway, a little bit of encouragement for everybody listening. Like if I could rebuild my credit, almost anybody could.
I think that's a good thing to point out, because you had a lot of patience and you put in the work. And sometimes people think, oh, I want the funding tomorrow or next week or next month. Some people can get the funding next month, but maybe they've been working on it already. For some people that are just starting, maybe it's a 3-month, 4-month, even 6-month process. So it really depends, but some work's required to get into it. Or
Yeah.
it's really to get to the point where then you're ready for funding.
Yeah.
So that second pillar we focus on is the optimization. So this is things like, do you have enough personal credit cards on your report? Is there a tier 1 credit card, like at the top 4 banks like Chase, Bank of America, Citi, and Wells Fargo? That's a tier 1 bank. If you have a personal credit card from one of those banks, your profile looks better. If you have multiple, it looks even better. So we want to see at least one tier 1 account on the profile. And then 3 would be, what is your collective personal credit limits? If you add up your personal credit limits, what is that collective number? Minimum we want to see is 15,000. The optimal range is between 40 and 90,000. So you want to get above 40 ideally. So that's what we do in optimization. So
and 40 with a balance of 10% ideally,
Yes.
but no more than 30%.
yes, correct. And so once pre-optimization is done, the payment history is good, your average age is increased if needed, your balance are paid down, and your credit report is updated, so your scores are going to be now in the 700s or a 680 plus. Then you want to apply for a high limit personal credit card. That's going to add a tier 1 account to your profile if you need it. It's going to increase your collective limits. So high limit personal credit card, that would be like a Chase Freedom Unlimited or a Chase Sapphire Preferred. There's a few, but those are the top 2 that we generally recommend. And we recommend those for 3 reasons. 1, I've mentioned this, it's tier 1 account. 2, it's from our high limit personal credit card list, so it increases your collective limits, which makes you look more trustworthy, so the banks will lend higher limits on the business side. And then 3, you're building a credit relationship with a bank that has ideal 0% business credit cards. So in contrary, if you get a credit card at a credit union, well, that credit union is not a tier 1 account. It might give you a high limit, but it's also not a bank that probably has a good 0% card. So you want to be very strategic and intentional about everything you do on your credit. And so we recommend those personal cards for those 3 exact reasons.
Okay.
So that would be optimization.
Was there a third step now?
Yeah, there was a third step. So
Yeah.
the third step, and you can do this step, this pillar simultaneously, but it's all about building strategic relationships with the banks.
Okay.
So I touched on relationships, like through credit relationships, through this high limit personal card. But in general, we're going to break down credit relationships and banking relationships. So to build a banking relationship, you can do things like go open a personal checking account, go open a business checking account with the bank. And then if you put some money in the account, there's some activity, et cetera, they're going to start to trust you a lot more. So I would rank the banks to build relationships in, bank relationships, from Chase to Bank of America to Wells Fargo. So Chase, it's the easiest to get the highest limits. And so they just want to see some sort of relationship there. They don't need to see a bunch of revenue. Really, they don't want to see any revenue, but they do want to see some liquidity in the account. Like a few $1,000s is going to help. If that's sitting there for a 60-day time frame, it's going to help even more. So having that business checking account is very beneficial at Chase. Same with Wells Fargo. And at Bank of America, what I'll say about Bank of America is they really appreciate and pretty much require seeing revenue at Bank of America. So if your business doesn't have revenue, then just leave Bank of America off the table. But if it does have revenue, I would recommend you want to show Bank of America that revenue. So that's building the bank relationships.
Did you rank all those 3 the same, or did you rank them in descending order where Wells Fargo's at the bottom?
Descending order, Wells Fargo's at the bottom of the 3. So
Of course, that's my bank. So
Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo.
Okay.
All very good. And there's other banks you can keep going down the list, but if I was to boil it down to 3, that's how I would boil it down. And then we look at the credit relationship side. So building relationships with banks through the credit cards. So like American Express, they kind of have bank accounts, but it's like a kind of like a fintech bank account. It's not like a legit real bank account. So I don't really recommend to go open a bank account at American Express. Instead, I'd recommend building a credit relationship, either by getting a personal credit card at American Express or get one of their easier business credit cards one of their easier credit cards to get approved for, the Amex Business Gold.
Okay.
The reason this card is easier to get approved for is because it's a charge card. There's no limit. There's a spending power, and they start your spending power very low. So it's very easy to get this card. You want to build a relationship through Amex on this Business Gold before applying for this Amex Blue Business Plus card. This is the 0% card. You want to get the high limit on this card.
Okay.
So if you build a credit relationship with American Express, by the time you apply for their 0% card, you're going to get a much bigger limit. And they have the Blue Plus and the Blue Cash So you can get like 25K on each,
Hmm.
and the limits can go up over time.
Yeah. Okay. Why do you carry so many cards? Just for illustration purposes?
No, so this is just my small stack right
That's your
here.
small stack.
These are the cards I use on a weekly basis.
Wow.
I have a much larger book that has easily over 50, and it's been much higher in the past. But it all
50 different cards.
50 different cards at over 20 different banks. It really depends on if it's a 0% card and I'm leveraging the 0%. It depends on what business I have it, transactions or expenses on. It depends on where I'm spending the money. Am I using this card for dining? Okay, I'm gonna use this card. Am I spending money on travel? I'm gonna use this card. Is it personal or is it business? So like business travel, I'll put on the Chase Sapphire Reserve for business. If it's personal travel, I'll put on the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve personal card.
Okay.
If it's business dining, I'll do the Amex Business Gold because it'll give me 4 points per dollar spent. If I'm doing personal dining, I'll put it on the Chase Strata Elite card because that gives me the most points for personal dining. Everything else on personal, if it doesn't fit into travel or dining, I put on my personal everything else card, which is either the Built card or the Capital One Venture. Gives me 2 points per dollar spent.
What's the Built card?
The Built card is a card where you can pay rent on or your mortgage payment. And there's some fees. It used to be no fees, but if you spend enough money on a monthly basis on the Built card, I think only like $2,000 a month, then your rent payment or mortgage payment will not have fees. And you get 2 points per dollar spent on everything else, excluding rent, but like everything else, which 2 points per dollar spent should be your floor. So 2 points is my floor. If it's travel, I put on my travel card and earn more than 2 points. If it's dining, I'll put on my dining card and get much more than 2 points. So everything I'm spending money on, I'm earning at least 2 points per dollar spent. And then if you think about where you can transfer these points from the bank portal, from Chase or American Express to different airlines, you can learn about different deal softwares like Seats.ro and understand where to transfer your points to. For example, from American Express to ANA Airlines, and then you can book a Polish flight for 50,000 points from Chicago to Poland in business class. So yesterday I woke up in Brazil.
Yeah.
Last week I was in Poland.
And man, and just I see you flying everywhere all the time, and you're on planes I never even seen before. Like you're on planes that have like your own like suite and your own shower. I never even seen that before.
It's pretty. It feels pretty surreal because I never used to travel like this. I'd get the cheapest ticket, fly in the back of the flight.
Yeah.
But I flew from Chicago to Poland for 50,000 points in business class. I flew from Warsaw down to Miami, 50,000 points business class. Miami down to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Different airline, but 50,000 points business class, and then back after my week in Brazil. So it's the points game is a little bit of a different strategy than the 0% interest business funding game.
But they work together, right?
They can work together, but if your intention is let me get as much 0% as possible right now, the cards you would apply for would be different.
Okay.
And some of those cards will yield a lot of points, but not all of them. If your strategy right now is, let me get as much points as possible, let me get the best reward cards, the best travel cards, that strategy is a little different, but they do have some overlap.